Morning, everyone. Welcome to the August 27th, 2019 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We're glad you're with us this morning. We'll begin, as we always do, with an invocation, and Rich Martindale, who's father at St. Paul's Episcopal Church, will lead us in prayer. Please stand.
Let's pray. Almighty God and Father, giver of all good gifts, source of all wisdom, and lover of all souls, we give you thanks for the wonder of this day and for the delights and opportunities that it will bring. We thank you, too, for raising up among us servants of this community who place the safety and care of their neighbors above their own desires and ambitions, and who work to bring justice with mercy to our dealings with one another. Bless these who take counsel this day. Give them, we pray, your spirit to discern your will for the governance of our common life, and the will and the courage to accomplish it, to your glory and the welfare of your people. We ask all this for the sake of the love that you have ever shown us, and in your own most holy name. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend. Appreciate that, as always. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate McCollum. Here. Magistrate Berry. Here. Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Magistrate Moran.
Here.
Magistrate Southern.
Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have in front of you the minutes of the August 13th, 2019 Fiscal Court meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve
Motion
those.
to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other corrections, clarifications, or additions? All those in favor of accepting the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll begin our meeting today with a presentation from Melissa Clements of United Way about the new 211 service. We're glad you're with us.
Thank you, Melissa.
All right. Good morning. How are all of you?
Good morning. Good.
It's not raining yet, so we have to say it's a nice morning so far. So this morning, I'm going to present to you guys the 211 service that was launched here by United Way back August the 1st. This service is a human and health service. It is accessed via web, telephone, landlines, the mobile, text, and they can chat also online with an operator. I have a very short PowerPoint presentation I'd like to go through with you guys, and then if you have questions, I'll entertain those questions at the end. So 211 is powered by a partnership between United Way of the Ohio Valley and United Way of Henderson County. Our call center is with United Way of the Bluegrass, which is in Lexington. We have a website that we've partnered with. It's www.greenriver211.org. What is 211? It's a free and confidential information and referral service through health and human service pieces. Now, that's a very broad area, and you're going to see what that means here in a minute. But this is going to be a service that we can track data, so we're very pleased with what this is going to do for us. Our vision for 211 is a community where everyone has access to resources they need in order to thrive. We're not saying that Henderson is not able to do that currently, but there's a lot of services out there that we're not promoting as well as we should be. So 211 is going to help us provide those services to help people in our community be as successful as they can be. Now, what can they call 211 for? Basic needs, financial assistance, domestic violence, mental and physical health, aging and disabilities, workforce development, animal service, and other human services. In that workforce development piece, we are promoting and talking largely about job training opportunities, job placement, and some of those things in our community is the Kindle Fame program, which has been very successful in partnering with the community college. So we are really promoting that job placement piece currently. There's a lot of different things they can call for, but they are actually talking to a person. This is not an automated system. They are talking to somebody in person. That person is going to ask them some information. They're going to take some time with that individual. They're going to tell them, where are you at? What county? That person on the other line is going to be able to hone in to Henderson County and be able to tell them what they need. An example is this weekend I had the pleasure of being able to present 211 to the Chloe Randolph Foundation. They did a service at Central Park. It was wonderful. If a woman or a man is calling because they are being abused, they can call and say, I need services for domestic violence. This is confidential. Now, if that operator thinks that this person is harming themselves or harming others, they have to follow the law. They have to report it. But all of this service is confidential. The best thing about this service, in my opinion, is they're talking to somebody, and then we're tracking this data. And we're going to see that here in just a second. We have over 1,400 plus programs that are currently in our database. We are still working with the Bluegrass to put other programs and services in our database. This is an ongoing process that we have an actual co-op student. Campbell Abner is our co-op student from the Henderson County High School. She is our 211 specialist. So Campbell's with us a few days a week, and she is taking care of promoting and organizing all of our programs in our 211 database. And she's doing a fabulous job. We're very happy and pleased with her and what she's able to bring to the table for United Way. How can I reach 211? We talked about this in the beginning. You can dial 211, or there is a landline over voice IP that you can call number. You can text your zip code to the 898-211. Believe it or not, you can go online, and that's where most of the data is coming from right now is online. We have more people getting online requesting services than we do have calling, and that's unbelievable to us. There's also a smartphone application, and this service is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That's huge. People can call on Christmas Day if they need help. This is the big piece, the data, 211 counts. You can go to, and all of you can, this is not password protected, it's accessible from anybody in the community. You can go to 211counts.org. You can go down to find Kentucky and go to the Bluegrass. That is our call center. There are 3 call centers in the state of Kentucky. We are under Bluegrass, United Way of the Bluegrass. You just go in, you put our zip code in. You can customize your date range, and you can see how many calls have been made for what service in this community. As of this morning, I was with Audubon Metals. They wanted to see where we were currently at from August the 1st to August the 27th. Over 1,000 phone calls have been made. The highest categories have been housing and shelter and rent assistance and utility help. Also, we've had over 1,200 requests made, and so far we have seen 0 that have not. What that means, that unmet need piece, everybody has so far been able to contact a 211 representative and at least be directed to a service that they're needing help with in this community. So I encourage you to go to that website, do some research, look at the data. This is real-time data. This is going to begin to help us take the money that United Way is raising in this community and filter it to the right avenues for the needs here. We've not ever had this before. This is something that's really going to help us see where the needs are, and are we providing the right resources, time, talent, and treasure to the right places. So that's my presentation today. We do have some rack cards and some magnets that we will be bringing to the courthouse here to give out. We have some posters that we'd like for you to hang up to get the word out for people that are needing help and needing services. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Melissa, am I correct in thinking that you're working in concert with the Salvation Army Christian Community Outreach, and through the call center, you direct people to where they need the assistance with food, help, or rent, or
Yes.
Yeah.
These are not just United Way agencies that are under this. This is any human and health service agency in our community.
no, that was my next question.
Yes, anybody. It's just not United Way agencies.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other questions?
Melissa, is there any concern about the fact that the operators are in Lexington and whether they are truly familiar with Henderson County?
Yes. So over the last 2 years, this has been a project that's been ongoing with the partnership of United Way of the Ohio Valley and us. We have had people from the Bluegrass here communicating, boots on the ground, working with our organizations, talking to them, becoming familiar with what resources they have and how they're dealing with those resources. And we have an actual person that we work with there at Bluegrass, and it has been seamless so far. They have been very informative. They seem very knowledgeable on what services are available in our communities and how individuals in this community can access those resources. I do feel like that's because they've been here for the last couple of years working with us and getting to know our community and what's been going on here.
Melissa, what sort of training do the operators have? Do they have a social work background?
A lot of these trainers or a lot of these operators have been trained through social work service pieces. Also, we have some that have worked in the school systems, that have worked for the state departments, that have that are retired, that have gone through certain trainings that Bluegrass requires them to go through. Some of you might not realize this, Indiana has had 211 for about 20 years. And for the last 5 years, we've been getting some bleed over from their 211 service. Vanderbilt County's 211 has been sending people to Henderson for services. So we wanted to make sure that those operators understood. And not that that's a lack of training. I think that's just we're so close to Vanderbilt County that they sometimes we have a handful of phone calls, maybe a year, that come from 211. But we wanted to make sure those operators understood what they were going to be doing, the nature of the business, and to make sure that they were as compassionate and as understanding as they possibly could be as they went into talking to individuals. Because you don't know who's going to call you and what state of mind these individuals are going to be in. And I know that better than anybody when they call you United Way. You have to be ready for anything. And Bluegrass has done a fabulous job of making sure these operators are trained and ready to go.
Melissa, are you using the data that you're getting to take it to higher government officials for assistance, as like you said, rent, utilities, different things, to maybe get some more housing things in the area?
Yes, sir. So currently last week we brought our information that we have for just the last, not quite 30 days yet, to the Homeless Coalition's director, which is Dr. Pat Lake. And we, along with Dr. Lake and the Homeless Coalition, because that housing and sheltering piece right now percentage is so high, we are currently working on a plan to try to look at our sheltering prospects here in Henderson, trying to figure out what we need to be doing to help these individuals get into shelters or affordable housing. And maybe they just don't have the education or they're not going to the right places. But we are beginning to convene and work with those individuals here in our community that are working in those areas. And we will do that all year long. We also are, and this is a question you might ask, you might not, but I'll be very transparent. This is a service that United Way is paying for. So we are currently not looking to take this cost off of our campaign this year. I have chosen to go out and get sponsorships for the cost of this service to corporations and individuals that really don't have a big campaign with us but are looking to get involved in the community. And so far, we are doing very well on that. So I believe that this is a new program. I asked my agencies to vet their programs, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to take 3 years to see how well this does, obtain the data, and then come back to decide whether or not United Way will take this out of their campaign funds or if we will continue through sponsorships and designations.
Any other questions? Melissa, I think this is a great addition to a lineup of services for people. people who need them here in our community. So thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing back on results.
Thank you so much. And if you ever need me to come back and show you the website for the 211counts.org, I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a nice day.
This is the day when county taxing districts set tax rates, so we have several to admit into our record, and we'll begin with the Green River Health Department, and Director Clay Horton is with us. Clay?
Good morning. It's always good to see you all. When Kurt called me last week, I said, oh, no, it's tax time again. And I enjoy coming when it's not tax time. And I said, I'm sorry I haven't been there. And he pointed out I'd been here twice since last August. So I'll take credit for that, but still haven't come to see you nearly as much as I'd like and probably should. So I believe you all have received the resolution from the Henderson County Public Health Taxing District. That board met in April to consider this resolution. They voted to set the tax rate at 5 cents per $100 of assessed value. That is the same rate as the previous year. And just so that the court knows, 4 cents of that goes to the district health department for the operation of the health department itself. We hire all the staff, we pay all the expenses. It's roughly, out of last year's budget, it's like 26% of our revenues come from local tax dollars collectively from the 7 counties. The remainder of that is used to maintain the property here in Henderson County and fund a number of local initiatives. We have our CAP program, which provides prescription assistance and access to care needs. We have a partnership with the Fiscal Court where we help provide mosquito spray for spraying for vectors in the summer. And then a few smaller initiatives, one for assistance for people who don't have dental care, and a couple of odds and ends. So with that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions. Again, it's the same rate as the previous years, and we're continuing to do good things at the health department.
Any questions for Clay or comments? We have a couple measures to serve on the local board. Any thoughts?
Just in general, Clay, of course, we appreciate everything you guys do out there. Obviously, it's a never-ending job. The need is still there to assist those that, for health reasons and whatsoever. And we appreciate that you use your money wisely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlie, turn your mic on, Charlie.
I think I'd be regret not bringing up the issue of the retirements and what that would do to you. And that came in after our vote in April. That if you could tell.
So the retirement issue has a huge impact in terms of the operation of the district health department. And when the Henderson County Board voted and when the district board adopted their budget for this current fiscal year, we were under the assumption that our retirement cost increase were going to go up about $2.5 million. Even knowing that, the boards decided not to increase the tax rate. Part of that is because of we have some healthy reserves, and we were able to put a management plan into place to try to cope with that. After the special session, we got the relief. We're very grateful for that. We have not really kind of changed our plan going forward. There's still a lot unknown. There's a lot of uncertainty about our future in terms of staying in the state retirement system and what those costs will be next fiscal year. So we're kind of in a limbo of such. But again, even anticipating those costs, it was going to be a great strain on the health department, but we felt like a tax increase wasn't appropriate at that time.
Any other questions of Mr. Horton? I need a motion to accept into the record the Green River, the Henderson County Health District's.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Sorry I didn't get that out well. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Clay.
Thank you.
Next is our Cooperative Extension Board, and Amanda Hardy is with us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Like the health department, the Henderson District Board took the same rate this year as well. Our budget looks really healthy, and we did not feel like raising the tax rates would be good at this time. So we met last Thursday, and real property is 3.2690. Personal property, 4.4958, and motor vehicle is 1.5. So all of these rates stay the same.
Any other questions? Ms. Hardy? Can I get a motion to accept that into the record?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, and good work.
Thank you.
Next, the Henderson County Public Library. We have Caleb May and Joan Hoffman.
Thank you. Before we read the property tax rate certification, I'd like to just thank this body for your work for this community. You're doing the people's work. And as we give this tax rate information to you, we feel like the library board is also doing the people's work because of the funds that are extended to us that come from the people of this county. You manage those taxes very, very well. And we feel that as a part of that, the library board has also managed those funds very well for many years through past boards and past directors. And because of that, we are able to put on this wonderful addition to our public library. We have a historic Carnegie Library, and this addition will only add to its value to this community. It will be the people's library because it is being built in great part by the careful care of the people's money. So thank you so much for that. The Henderson County Public Library District Board of Trustees hereby certifies that 10.7 cents per $100 assessed valuation of real property and 14.45 cents per $100 assessed valuation of personal property is the rate to be levied for the Henderson County Public Library District for the year 2019-2020. In accordance with the provisions of KRS 132.023 as amended by the 1979 extraordinary session and the 1990 regular session of the General Assembly. It's signed by Joan Hoffman, President, Susan Thurman, Secretary, and recorded by County Clerk Renisa Abner.
And that is the compensating rate this year.
It is.
That's correct. Thank you, Jennifer. Well, so very pleased to be here with you all again today, and certainly will answer any questions for you. As Joan said so very well, we take very seriously our stewardship of the public's resources, and you do have in your packet, I believe, list of the last decade of rates that we have taken. Once upon a time, the library district was in very bad shape, and every year we had to have a special hearing and raise the rate the maximum amount of 4%. I'm very proud to say that over very good stewardship over recent years, we have taken the compensating rate, or even 1 year was less, going forward. Now, last year when I was before you, I was a little bit nervous, as we all are, about the CERS, County Employee Retirement System. We were given some doomsday predictions, as all of you were as well, and thought very much with our expansion project underway, it might perhaps be the time to once again raise that 4%, and our trustees, we crunched the numbers, and with the recommendation of the Department of Libraries and Archives, foresee that something is happening very good in Henderson County. You all are doing excellent work. I know our business community is doing very, very well, but our revenue in the last few years seems to exceed their predictions, and so we felt that it was prudent this year to take the compensating rate and to not extend that further to the 4%, which we could request by law. Some of the things that are embedded in that as well, the aircraft, the district board, as we have in recent years, has waived that. Documented watercraft, non-Kentucky registered watercraft, is at the same rate as the tangible personal property, as is the in-transit inventory. I do have with me as well today our annual statistical report, hot off the presses actually. Just yesterday we completed that, and I will send that all to you by email. I've given a copy to the judge, and just a couple short things to highlight. Last year, and you all know the facilities that we have right now, kind of two smaller meeting rooms in the original Carnegie part of the library, one with beautiful old oak tables in it, but it does take up a lot of space, so there's not much room for folks. And downstairs there are pillars in the middle of that larger meeting room that make it kind of difficult to meet. But even with all of those factors included in, we held 1,634 public meetings last year. Now, that's not all sponsored by the library. The vast majority of those would be Toastmasters, Kentucky Legal Aid, their NAACP, there are folks that come for Alcoholics Anonymous. We just have even some Bible study groups, all kinds of things all across the spectrum. We've even had McDonald's do interviews and hiring sessions in our meeting rooms before. But that is just, I think, outstanding that we're engaging with the folks with the facilities that we have, and that will only be heightened and extended by the fact that we are adding a 16,000 square foot two-story addition on our Water Street side of the facility that is very much underway, as I'm sure you're all aware, and the upper level of that is art gallery space and public meeting space, three sizable meeting spaces that can be opened up into one large meeting space with a catering kitchen off to the side. So that we are very much excited about. A couple of other things I would just highlight very briefly. Total number of sessions of public internet computers per year, we had 6,327 last year. So these are folks that actually are physically coming in and logging onto a computer in the library to apply for a job, to have additional training, to access things that they couldn't access otherwise. You wouldn't believe how many folks don't have printers anymore. This is a big factor. A lot of folks have mobile devices but no way to print, and we also now have mobile printing so that folks from home or from their mobile device can send a print job right to our printer and pick up that job there. We have also had 3,302 public service hours in the main library and 1,275 public service hours of our bookmobile and outreach van throughout the county, for a total of 4,577 public service hours available to the public throughout the county. So that's something to be very much proud of. Our total book collection, so the physical volumes on the shelf, is just almost 106,000 items. So that's quite a collection that we are very proud of, that we engage not only with our local community, but also as we borrow materials from other libraries, we also lend materials to other libraries, and so we're meeting a critical need throughout this whole region of the state, statewide, and even outside of the state in our region. Let me see here. Some unique things that are not standard for a public library survey that we add as additional measures of service, because that's just how much of a great library you all have in this community. Our passport service is huge. We're the first and only passport execution facility in Henderson County, and last year we answered 1,583 questions related to passports. We executed 690 passports for individuals. We're not required to help with renewals of passports. That's supposed to be self-service, but we do anyway, and that was 160 renewals that we helped last year. A lot of folks also don't realize for many, many years we've offered notary service. Many of our full-time employees are notaries public. Last year we notarized 1,609 documents free of charge for the public. Genealogy and local history is also very important. We had 1,091 microfilm rolls utilized last year of our local history, and local history items used in the library 1,781. Total program attendance last year was 17,444 people. So very proud of our library. You do also have renderings, full color. Thank you very much, Hafer Design Associates, our architects, that show an approximation of how these spaces will look. I won't go through all of them, but this first one shows when you are entering from the parking lot side. If you all recall, Tri-State Sheet Metal, former Dixie Lou Frocks factory building that was demolished by the library, we will have an enlarged parking lot over there of about 30 spaces. And so when you enter from that parking lot side, this is what you will see, approximately looking in on this first rendering there. Very excited also about our meeting room space. As we said, this is the third image, is a view into that space extended with all three of those rooms being utilized. And about 8 pages in, it looks like, is the exterior on the Water Street side, approximately Washington and Water, looking toward the facility. So very excited about that. They are on schedule. Trifecta Steel out of Owensboro is fabricating, and within the next week and a half or so, that steel will be arriving on site, and I'm told that about 10 days they will have it all completed. So that will be kind of a very visible blooming of the flowers, as it were. So you very well could drive by there one day and see what almost appears to be a completed shell of the facility. So very exciting time. We anticipate being able to occupy that new part in late February or early March. And then the project goes into gutting and redoing the existing, what was the 1979 and 2000 additions to the library, and renovating and expanding our children's department, providing a brand new teen department, a computer training lab, a maker space for innovation and workforce assistance, and many other features throughout the facility. The entire project should be done by late July of next year. With that, any questions that anyone would have?
Any questions?
I believe. So you're looking at the second floor. This is very narrow, so it might appear to be like a catwalk or something, but it would be narrower than that. That is just the glass for the meeting room space looking out toward the tennis courts and the river. Off to the side over here, kind of near Washington and Water, is a roof deck that will be a very neat location, I think, because it is sheltered to some extent from the elements because it has a overhang over top of it, and there will be seating there, picnic tables and so forth. And we very much would love to encourage and just so glad that we see the food trucks and different things going on in town. I think it would be fantastic, especially for folks who work and live down here in downtown Henderson, to be able to pick something up at Talkaholics or Hometown Roots or something here in downtown and come, and there will be several places, either just on a bench or picnic table outside the facility. On the roof deck, there's a nice counter that overlooks the double height space looking down that could be utilized, and also right inside the main Washington Street entrance, which will still be there, will be a refreshment area with the Friends of the Library book sale books around it, and that will also be a wonderful place to just sort of thumb through a book, maybe check your email on Wi-Fi, perhaps print something, get something notarized, and have a little lunch or refreshments there. So really, library service is kind of shifting. I like to think it is coming full circle, because once upon a time we were very much more community engagement programs, building community and networking folks and providing training and access to information. We kind of slid in the 20th century into more just kind of routine books and stamp this one in, stamp that one out, which was fantastic and worked very well. But we are now at a place where we're engaging more again with really building community, encouraging workforce development, providing critical resources and training for early literacy and lifelong learning. So very excited about all of these trends that we are seeing and engaging with at the library.
And thank you very much. Any other questions? Mr. McCullough, can you turn your mic on and speak into it?
Sorry. Mr. Mills got us information on CERS because it's been a concern for all of us. It's going to go up about 3 more years. Right now we're at 24%. Going to go up approximately about 30, level off, and then about 2025 we're going to start going down if things, the market maintains and everything looks good. So there is maybe a little light at the end of the tunnel. Now the KERS, with the health department's problem, they were jumping up. They had went to 64%. It would bankrupt Henderson's health department in 2 years. I mean, so that system is really in bad shape. But we've got a light at the end of the tunnel. So
That is very good to know. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Caleb, I think, I get the opportunity to talk to you pretty frequently anyway, but I thought he was telling me about the addition, and I kind of called it state of the art. I said he was going on, and when it jumped out, I said like a recording studio. If you was wanting to cut a track, if you're a musician, we got a lot of local good musicians. They could actually go to the library and do it right there in the library.
That's absolutely the case in our makerspace, and I
Yeah,
kind of
the
threw that
makerspace,
out there. A lot
yeah.
of folks don't know what that term means. Part of ours will have a recording sound booth in it for cutting a soundtrack if you want to, for if you want to do a record deal, you want to send something to Nashville or something like that. Local history also is a big focus of that. I know that Roy Pullum and his students in years past have done that, and even the Downtown Henderson project has done that in the past, and we're actually in the process of transcribing all of those recordings from the past so that they are searchable and more available to the public. But to be able to allow for, there's an old West African proverb that says, when an old man dies, a library burns, loosely translated. And I think that's absolutely the case. We are losing our greatest generation folks, and not to say that the younger generations don't have great individuals and great aspirations and so forth, but every single time we lose somebody, all of the stuff that they had in their mind, all their memories, all of the facts, all of the experiences that they had in downtown Henderson, perhaps from the 1950s and 1960s, we need to make sure that that is retained for our history, because if you don't know who you are and who you were, there's no way that you know who you can be or aspire to even greater things. And I think it's a dangerous time when we lose connection with those previous generations and that history. I think it's important to learn those lessons so that we don't have to make the same mistakes over and over again.
But I did think the makerspace, I couldn't think of the name of it, you said a minute ago, but I thought it was pretty unique in itself. So.
It's a growing trend in libraries. In fact, we went to the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County, and they've got just a fantastic, an entire floor of their 2 kind of skyscraper library facility dedicated to makerspace activities. And so it is a growing trend, but we're very proud to be a part of that.
Thank you, Caleb. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Motion to
Excuse
accept
me.
the library rates into the record.
I have a question. If all the services that you mentioned, are they all free to the public?
They absolutely are. In some cases, if we are extending a service, so for example, the passport service for the U.S. Department of State, we're required by state law to submit to you all our fee schedule, as it were, for things that we do charge for. And the passport service would be the biggest one, so that actually the largest portion of when someone gets a passport goes straight through to the U.S. Department of State, but a portion of that is retained by the facility that has executed the documents. So it is, relatively speaking, a zero-sum game. We have certainly staffing and so forth like that we have to accommodate for that service. Other things, for example, purchasing a used book, that's the Friends of the Library that conduct that. If you're to print a document, there's a small charge for that, 20 cents. Of course, mostly covers the ink and the wear on the machine and the paper itself. So as you say, there are some fees that are charged, but in terms of programming, access, events that we have, and to utilize the makerspace, for example, when that is in place, the biggest thing will just be booking the time slot so that there's enough access and availability, but there would not be any charge at all for any of those services. So folks come in, and sometimes they are just fascinated that, wow, I don't have to pay for this. This is free. And we do say that certainly it is free, but as you all know, of course, we pay taxes. And so that is what makes us be able to engage with the public in the way that we do.
Do you have your reserves? Do you have the figures on for your reserves of how much after the building and stuff?
We do, and I'd be happy to provide that. We're required by the Department of Libraries and Archives to keep approximately 6 months' worth of operating budget in reserve. In addition to that, because of wise management in the past, we have been able to segregate directly for this project $2 million. And then we do have public bonding as well. And so with a 30-year debt service, there will be $330,000 approximately that will go to service that bond. Now, comparatively, if you were to go back and look at 1979 when they built that addition, the amount of the debt service per year was approximately 32% of their annual budget. This debt service now will be approximately 10% of our operating budget. So there's been very wise management, and it's been planned out very well. All of our staffing and all of the different pieces that need to come together really have, and it is a credit to certainly my predecessors and our very effective library trustees over many years of planning and preparing for this project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Again, I'll entertain a motion accepting the record public library tax recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks for all the work you do. The Drainage Commission meeting was last night to amend their initial request for tax rates. Last night, the commission decided to keep their tax rates the same year over year. Anybody who'd like to see those forms are with the fiscal court clerk. But again, the Drainage Commission is keeping their tax rates the same year over year, and I'll entertain a motion to accept those into the record.
So, second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, Kenny Garrett, our Emergency Management Director, here to answer any questions about a resolution on the Henderson County EOP. It's in your packet. Any other questions of Mr. Garrett while he's here? I'll have the clerk read the resolution.
Whereas KRS 39B.0101, KRS 39B.0303, KRS 39C.0503, and applicable Kentucky administrative regulations require the development and maintenance of local emergency operations plan, which sets forth local government organizational structure, policies, procedures, and guidelines for the management and coordination of all disaster and emergency response in Henderson County and its cities. And whereas KRS 39B.0303, KRS 39B.0602, KRS 39C.0503, applicable Kentucky administrative regulations and planning guidance issued by the Kentucky Division of Emergency Management require the local emergency operations plan be officially approved and adopted by signed resolution of the Henderson County Judge Executive. And whereas the director of the Henderson County Office of Emergency Management has submitted the emergency operations plan to the County Judge Executive for official approval and adoption in accordance with the aforementioned laws, administration regulations, and planning guidance. Now therefore be it resolved by the Henderson County Fiscal Court as follows. by the virtue of the powers and authorities vested in them by the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and in accordance with the provisions of KRS 39A to 39F, applicable Kentucky administrative regulations, and the Henderson County Emergency Management Ordinance, do hereby order and direct the following. 1. The Henderson County Emergency Operations Plan is officially approved and adopted in the emergency support functions format effective the date of this resolution as shown herein. 2. The conveyance of the official approval and adoption of the Henderson County Emergency Operations Plan through this resolution shall remain continuously in effect from the date of this resolution as shown herein, or until superseded by a subsequent resolution promulgated in accordance with KRS 39B.0303, KRS 39B.0602, KRS 39C.0503, applicable Kentucky administrative regulations and planning guidance issued by the Kentucky Division of Emergency Management. 3. A copy of the officially approved and adopted Henderson County Emergency Operations Plan, including this resolution, shall be placed on file for public inspection during regular office hours in the Henderson County Office of Emergency Management.
So moved. Motion moved. Approved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions while Mr. Garrett is here? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. And again, anybody who'd like to see a copy of the EOP, just contact the Fiscal Clerk's office. Obviously read that. Next, we have with us Alan Bennett and Chris Hobgood from the Henderson City County Airport. We're going to be reading a resolution accepting grant funds from the Federal Aviation Administration. Thought it'd be good to have them come up and make a comment. And as noted in the resolution, this is yet another installment of the FAA's support of the movement and expansion of the runway at the airport. Mr. Hobgood, if you want to add anything to that.
This is a typical FAA grant. We've signed many of these. This one's for $759,551.11, of which the FAA puts up $683,596. There's 10% in the state and local, 5% state, 2.5% county, 2.5% city. So the county's contribution is $18,988.78, judging by the math that I've done based upon how much the FAA is putting up. This is for the land acquisition, transmission line easement, the power line relocation, everyone but the Williamses.
Can you read that number that the county will require again?
I have the county's portion based upon the grant amount of $683,596. Divide that by 0.9, then take a fourth of that, or that gets the total to $759,551, and then 2.5% of that's $18,988.78. So just under $19,000. And I think we had given you all a figured a budget of 25, so this is under that.
And when will they be requiring that payment?
That's a good question.
At or near the end of the grant, typically, we draw the grant all the way down, but the requirement from the federal government is that the local contribution be there prior to closeout on the grant, so we can push some time frame back.
And if the court will recall, we applied to state to utilize coal severance funds for our match, and those are ready. Those have been approved and are ready to utilize whenever we need to. Any other questions about this installment in the grant process from the FAA? Thankful we're getting this amount of money from the FAA for this project, and hopefully see a lot more to come.
I will leave there are 3 copies of this for the judge and the county attorney to sign. I'll just leave this with the county attorney. If I can pick it up this afternoon, I'll take it to the city tonight. We'll get it sent off.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? I'll have the clerk read the resolution.
Resolution authorizing Henderson County Judge Executive to execute Federal Aviation Administration grant agreement for Phase 2 of runway extension project, whereas the Henderson City County Airport Board Henderson County and the City of Henderson are co-sponsors for a grant from the Federal Aviation Administration for Phase 2 of the runway extension project, and whereas the FAA has awarded a grant of up to the sum of $683,596 for land acquisition and for completion of the project, and whereas the Henderson Fiscal Court deems it in the best interest of the Henderson County to accept said grant, now therefore be it resolved that the Henderson County Fiscal Court authorizes and directs County Judge Executive Brad Schneider to execute the attached U.S. Department of Transportation Federal Aviation Administration grant agreement and to execute any and all other necessary and appropriate documents required to effectuate the intent thereof.
Motion to accept.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Before we take a vote, I just want to clarify, other than the land acquisition you're in the process of making now, are there any other land acquisition projects that we have not yet discussed? Any other
this
expenses outside the parameters of what we already discussed in court?
No, this project takes the corridor to the terminal amount of the runway. So this is for the extension of the runway and the easements beyond it, runway safety area and navigation easements. So.
And all those easements are ones we've already discussed.
There are
Good.
no further land acquisitions anticipated.
Good. Excellent. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Going to postpone the county attorney's personnel recommendations until next meeting.
We're going to ride it out a couple more weeks and save some money.
Excellent. While the other taxing districts are setting their tax rates, it's time for the county to set ours, and I'm proud to say that I would make the recommendation to the court that we not change our tax rates year over year. We have managed public's money well. We are in a good position. I don't see a reason to raise our tax rates. We understand that there could be X factors coming down the pike from Frankfurt in the future, but we are well positioned both with our reserve and our potential to find savings in other places to address those, or if we need to in a year, alter in some fashion our tax rates. But I would recommend that we leave them as is. And the Finance Committee met yesterday and discussed this, and welcome any input from Magistrate McCullum or Magistrate Putman on our conversation. I recommend a motion to that effect.
Again, I confer with Charlie and the judge when we looked at it. We're doing pretty well, and hopefully we can hold the course and keep going in the right directions going forward, in spite of all the retirement issues and everything. But we're doing quite well, and again, I would like to was that a motion, Charlie? Did he say that?
We're going to read the record first,
Okay.
and you'll have a chance to. Any other questions about that? Any other observations or comments about keeping the county tax rates exactly as they were last year? I'll have the clerk read the order.
Property assessment has now been certified by the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Revenue, Office of Property Valuation, and permissible ad valorem tax rates and revenue for fiscal year 2019-2020 established for Henderson County in accordance with KRS 68.245 through 68.249. Be it ordered by the Fiscal Court of the County of Henderson, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that the following tax rates for 2019-2020 are hereby set. Real property, 12.8 cents per $100. Gross levy revenue expected from that will be $2,910,824. Personal property rate of 18.4 cents per $100. Expected revenue $480,310. Motor vehicles rate of 8.5 cents per $100. Revenue expected $290,677. Public service company real estate 11.8 cents per $100. Expected revenue $49,541. Public Service Company personnel, 17.5 cents rate per $100. Expected revenue $368,229. A watercraft rate of 8.5 cents per 100. Expected revenue of $11,744. Be it further ordered that a 3-cent per acre tax be levied on all privately owned timberland in Henderson County, which is required to be listed for taxation and credited to the Forest Fire Protection Account.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. I will note that we appreciate the help of our elected officials and department heads helping us manage our money well and being able not to place any further burden on the taxpayers of Henderson County. I think this will be the 4th straight year that none of these rates have been increased. I'm very proud of that. And we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments?
I'd like to say I hope Frankfurt doesn't continue to push more responsibilities down on us as a county. I understand the state police post now has only got 2 troopers per county, which is putting a lot more burden on our sheriff's office and other things. So absent that, I don't think they're fully funding our county attorney's office for child support. I mean, it just keeps going on and on.
I would say I agree that it's a good thing to hope for, but I am not holding my breath. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We will have a second reading on that. Is that correct? Yeah, next meeting. We are also now having a second reading on the ordinance moving our 911 fees from county landlines to customers of the Henderson County Water District, and increasing those 75 cents from $2.50 to $3.25 in order to match the city's similar rate and keep us within the legal boundaries of the former cases involving this move that have already been vetted by the Supreme Court of Kentucky. Again, needing to match that $3.25 was necessary. Not our first choice, of course, but we need to do it to make sure we don't have legal challenges in the future. And we need to adequately fund our 911 service. If anybody else would have a comment about that before we read the second reading?
Yes, I was about to suggest that you read the summary instead.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments about this? And we can read the summary, please.
Ordinance amending Section 132-2 of the Henderson County Code of Ordinances, repealing the 911 emergency services fee on telephone bills and establishing a 911 emergency services fee on water bills and establishing collection procedures therefore.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Manager Southern?
Aye.
Manager Moran?
Aye.
Manager Putman?
Aye.
Manager McCollum?
Aye.
Manager Berry?
And for the record, I will also vote aye. We have with us Debbie Edwards from Animal Control, and I know it's been a difficult weekend and week. Please give us an update.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I went ahead and sent you guys the next quarterly report that went to the commissioners. I just sent the same thing. We did get word that the animal seizure case, animals have been surrendered, which is great. Yes, except for the chickens, of course, because we are sending them off to Frankfurt for testing to make sure they're not diseased as the last time. So we're quarantining those until we get word back. We have had to make 2 trips to Frankfurt to take chickens for testing, and we're just awaiting word on that. The parvo outbreak, I don't know if you saw, New Hope Rescue is also an outbreak of parvo just happened. It's running rampant right now. I have no choice but to quarantine for 14 days, no dogs in or out. We are completely full. Animal Control is still taking runs. We're looking for fosters to house any stray animals. that they have to pick up and bring in because there's nowhere to house them. It's not healthy for them to contaminate coming in or otherwise. So it's kind of a hour-by-hour basis right now. That's the best update that I have.
With New Hope being shut down also, I mean, you're just solely dependent on fostering animals that's brought in?
Yes, sir. We've currently had 7 puppies and 2 adults, monitoring, testing daily, checking 3 times a day for any change of health in the animals. It was kind of widespread in our building, so the whole entire building is on quarantine and being bleached, walls, windows, floors, outside, gravel, everything, trucks. And that will continue for 14 days. So we do need bleach. We're going through a lot of bleach in one day.
Debbie, I got a quick. Does any other shelters in the area, do they help? Like, no, not from, not. I'm talking about that are going to be picked up today. Not anything to do with the park.
Well,
but you don't have any room and you can't take them anyway. But is there any other?
They're all full.
Everybody's full.
Everybody is full, maxed out. We are reaching out, and they are always very good at everybody kind of pitching in and helping out. So I'm sure they will if they can.
Sure.
You know, as far as rescue, that's on hold as well because nobody wants to take a chance on pulling an animal that could be diseased.
Sure.
So right now it's the worst waiting game ever. I had to have the host staff come in on Sunday and take care of these puppies, and it was a very rough, emotional day.
Debbie, have you lost any, I mean, through
The
this
7
outbreak?
puppies, yes.
7.
Yeah.
This meeting today about the ownership issue, somebody's charged with something, and you can't do anything with those animals until after the case is finished, unless they voluntarily say
Surrender
you can't
them.
surrender
Yes,
them.
sir.
And so I'm glad to hear they did. It looked like you and I were talking. It's somebody's property until the case is proven that they did something, or that they can.
And they still have their court date,
Yeah.
and the court can decide, how to move forward with that. But as far as the animals, we are working on rehoming them today, except for the chickens. And we've had a lot of positive response from the community stepping up and wanting to help. So that's very encouraging.
I mean, 150 animals is pretty overwhelming.
Well, and the cost associated with just housing those animals gets way up there. I'm correct in saying that.
And we're having
It's
to take
$25,
feed.
$35 a day, I'd just say, for a typical dog. If you're,
Right.
yeah.
Of course, the 4 dogs that we're housing from that case are on quarantine, so we can't move them right now anyway. But the rest of the livestock can absolutely be moved. And we're getting help from the public, so I could not be more thankful for that. I know you guys probably saw the numbers. We've had 387 stray animals already this year. That's dogs. That's not counting the cats. Only 37 of those were reclaimed by their owners. Rescues are doing an awesome job helping us pull them and rehome them. But the number is just outstanding. We can't keep up. And I'm not allowed to take any more home. The livestock case I've told you about, we are partnering with Rural King. We're having an adopt-a-thon every Saturday, the last Saturday of the month. Of course, the next 14 days will be on hold pending. This last Saturday we took cats just because we're trying to alternate the cats and the dogs. So that actually worked out very well since we had this outbreak on Sunday. I'm going to get with New Hope today and try to come up with more solutions and alternatives with this parvo. But it basically falls back on the homeowner to vaccinate their dogs. It's everywhere. There's, but the only way to prevent it is for the proper vaccinations.
What percentage of the dogs that you get in are vaccinated and have tags?
Every dog that comes through our doors are vaccinated upon intake.
I mean, meant before they come in.
Yeah, not many at all. We've only had a handful of people coming in with city county tags, and most of them are breeders that are breeding hunting dogs and things like that.
This large-scale animal rescue is very frustrating, considering it's the second one in almost as many years. The apparent lack of personal responsibility in dealing with pets is, or just animals, is mind-boggling to me. And I would hope our community, our county as a whole, would help the county and help the Humane Society by maybe calling these situations to animal control's attention sooner, when there's a chance to maybe do something that results in a positive outcome, instead of animals dying and the cost of recovering the surviving ones landing on the Humane Society's budget and the county's budget. I'm saying this not at you, but just as a hope
Yes,
that
sir.
everybody who watches this video or reads any reports about this meeting can understand that sometimes people complain about the heavier hand of government in any of their affairs, and I can understand that. But sometimes the lack of personal responsibility forces government to take action. And that's seen over myriad examples, not just animal control, but this is a great example of where allowing some people the freedom to do whatever they want hurts their neighbor, breaks laws, and forces taxpayer money to be spent in ways that they shouldn't. And again, I'm really frustrated, and I applaud the heroic work you're doing to try to solve this issue again. I mean, it's hard for me to believe we have a similar rescue case involving more than 150 animals, and I don't think this court was seated when the previous one happened in Reed, I guess a couple years ago now, but it's horrific. It is horrific. And I don't understand people who do this. So
Education is the key. It is my number one priority right now, and animal control will start doing some sessions with the schooling, starting with middle schools, North and South Middle School, to actually teach the students how to properly care for animals and what is needed to keep up with their upkeep.
Any other questions?
Debbie, do you get reports, like, say, from neighbors maybe, and y'all go out and do these wellness checks pretty regular on when you see something kind of getting out of hand for us, number of animals being housed in at one location?
We do.
Outside of breeders, I'm talking about, but just...
We do, and we do wellness checks a lot. But if they're providing adequate shelter, food and water, and then legally...
That's minimal.
There's not a lot we can do.
I got it.
A lot of times if animal control shows up on their door, sometimes it's enough to kickstart a little bit better care. And most of the people on the dog side of it are better than the livestock. They think livestock are more of a commodity and not a human animal that has feelings, so they're just not as concerned with the livestock as they are cats and dogs. Cats and dogs are still a very big problem, and it comes down to education.
I would say, the fact that we have had a couple of these large seizures in the last couple of years, and there are so many wellness checks that you do, in a way that is a credit to the community, because those things are being reported to you. I would wager that they're not just happening in Henderson. It's
right.
Just Henderson County is doing something about it.
And animal control is really good about the wellness check and trying to educate them before we just come in and take their animals, because we want them to be successful.
Well, and seeing things like this reported and action taken is a sign of a proactive community.
Yes.
I think there are a lot of communities around the state of Kentucky that things like this go on, and either a blind eye is turned or nobody ever does anything about it. So I think that is a credit to
Thank
your
you.
organization. As we move forward, I know you've got a lot on your plate. You've got parvo, you've got this big seizure, you've got all those things. The county is going through an ordinance review process, and I think we've discussed this before. We really need your expertise here. The state law is very thin as far as dealing with animals and treatment of animals. And to the extent that you all have some specific recommendations and specific language about what can be done on a county level,
Absolutely.
please get in touch with either me or my office about that. And if you've got examples of ordinances that are working well in other places, please,
We're in the process of doing
please
it
let
right
us know
now.
about that, okay? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Debbie, what do you need? The most you need right now is, or the most important thing, I should say, is bleach. You
Bleach.
still need bleach.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to go through at least 15 gallons a day.
That was my next question.
And that's just a guesstimate, because the trucks, even outside kennels, everything needs to be bleached on a daily basis.
Right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to something I was actually witnessed. There was a couple of dogs in a house that had been vacated. I think you may remember this one, Debbie. It's probably been about a month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I went over there. Of course, the house outside was hideous. I mean, needed just a lot of cleaning. I actually called the codes, but those dogs were in there. And the report I got from a neighbor was the house been abandoned. The owners have been gone. I could hear the dogs barking inside, and there's no way to get to those animals, short of getting a warrant, busting
Yes,
through
sir.
the door. I mean, but the animals were abandoned. I don't know how long they was in there. I came back by the next day, and there was a sign in the yard said, "The dogs there's been food and water given to on a piece of cardboard or a paper sack or something."
Animal control had actually left several messages on the door
Yeah,
saying they needed to be
responded
contacted.
with that message on that paper sack out in the yard. Did that all go pretty well? Do you remember how that ended up? I was kind of curious.
They have been in contact with animal control, and they are providing food and water until they get them relocated. So, as long as they're in touch with us and keep communication going, then we'll work with
the
them.
house is still empty. They're doing some
Yes, sir.
renovation and stuff, so the animals are gone. So I knew that. I just kind of curious what happened. So, thank you.
It takes a village for sure.
Yeah.
And you'll take all the donations of materials, bleach, and whatever else you need.
Absolutely.
Readily, right?
We're not going to unlock the door to let anybody in, actually, but they can drop it off at the front door or call, and we'll meet you at the door.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks.
I appreciate what you do. Next, our county clerk's report. Renisa?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Nice to see everyone today. Today I have the report for July 2019, and the total remitted to the county is $131,339.74, with excess fees in the amount of $85,067.18. And I also have a check for the tax sale account, the year-to-date interest for that. I usually turn it over, we just had our tax sale, so usually this time of year is when I turn that over in the amount of $182.23. And that is included in the total amount remitted that I read earlier. Compared to 2019, excess fees for July are $36,680.65 less than 2018. The 2019 excess fees, looking at the calendar year, are still up around $50,000. So, again, our reports are calendar instead of fiscal. Our delinquent tax collections were a little down, and so were recordings for the month. So,
Any other questions? Make a motion to accept the county clerk's report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
thank you.
Good job. Mr. Gold, your report.
Judge, I have several checks today. The first being dental and life insurance for county attorney's employees, $469.82. Health insurance for county attorney's office employees, $8,737. Aflac, $124.94. Jail fees collected, $342.84. Interest, $111.08, and $555.40, bringing today's total to $10,341.08, and the fiscal year present to date, $43,633.48.
Motion to approve those.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Treasurer Brenda Ryder with some financial activities here.
There is no budget amendment for today. I do have one transfer in the jail fund to the equipment repairs maintenance line, appropriation line for the jail fund, transferring to that $149,927.65. Also transferring to the jail overtime appropriation line $70,000. The total of these two transfers are coming from the miscellaneous jail appropriation lines as presented.
Everybody see those transfer amounts and where they're coming from? Any questions about those?
I move to approve them, Judge.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions of Ms. Ryder? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
These are the bank balances after paying claims today. Your day-to-day appropriation line items should be at approximately 16%. I'm asking to void the economic development check of $4,166.66, which was issued to Kendall. Void that check and reissue to Kendall the amount of $45,833.34. What this does is complete the budget appropriation of $50,000 for the fiscal year 20.
Finance Committee discussed that yesterday, and I believe the Finance Committee is recommend completing the transaction as described.
Correct. And, well, there were some issues that came up, Judge. I'm not going to go into them right at this time that would, we're going to do a lump sum, I believe.
Yeah.
So
This is their budgeted amount.
yeah, which is their budgeted amount.
Also have additional claims from the general fund to Magistrate McCullum in the amount of $1,053.91. This is Magistrate's training incentive appropriation line, and this is to be paid with the September 5th payroll. In the jail fund to Jailer Brady in the amount of $3,161.73. This is from the jailer's training incentive appropriation line, and this also is to be paid with the September 5th payroll. The LGEA fund to the Pool Volunteer Fire Department in the amount of $3,200, and this represents the annual appropriation to the Pool Fire Department, and it comes from the Community Volunteer Fire Department appropriation line.
Any other questions about claims?
I make a motion, we pay the claims.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
If anybody from the audience would like to come to the podium and speak for good of the county, feel free. Going once, going twice. Magistrate Southern.
All's good in District 3.
Magistrate Moran.
Same in District 2.
Magistrate Putnam.
All good and for, Judge. Thank you.
And everybody's quiet today. Magistrate McCullum.
All's good and fit.
Magistrate Berry.
Same here. All
Mr.
good.
Gold.
Tempted to tell a long story or something, but all is fine at the county attorney's office.
Excellent. Just wanted to say that we have convened a committee to help promote the importance of participating in the census. That committee is made up of a wide variety of folks from our community. The mayor and I are helping lead that charge, and you'll be hearing more about the committee's work here in the future. If any of you here on court or in our audience today would like to participate in some way as the effort moves forward, just let me know. Having an accurate, complete count of Henderson County is important in many, many ways, and it's incumbent upon the judge executive in each of the counties in the Commonwealth to help assure that citizens are educated about why the census is important, why it's safe to take the census, and how to go about filling out your form and making sure you get counted. So be looking for more about that. Also want to extend a thank you and a good job to Magistrate Southard for helping lead the vigil that was held Sunday for the young lady who was suffered ends of potential or apparently domestic abuse, and help raise a little awareness about the dangers of that and the prevalency of domestic abuse in our society, and what citizens can do to help fight that, and what law enforcement can do to help with that. So thank you for doing that. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion and a second. All those in favor can leave.